Hello YouTubers, I'm trying a different setting up in my room, so we'll see how it goes. I don't think it's as great of a setting, but I think it's a little better lighting, so we'll see. It's not like I have a lot of space in my room to kind of figure this out. But I am here today to discuss the sequel of The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, and it is called Never Fade, and it is just so good. Here it is on my pretty little Kindle. I love this book. To be honest, I really liked The Darkest Minds, but the sequel, Never Fade, just made the series for me. And I'm not really hyperventilating, but I feel like my brain is hyperventilating for the next book in the series. I'm super excited, and it's so far away. But first, let me just give you just a little brief book talk that doesn't give away spoilers, and then I have so much to talk about. Oh my god. Okay, so Never Fade is such a cute book. If you haven't read The Darkest Minds, I highly recommend it. Just so that way you can read Never Fade, and it's great. Liam, I'm really upset that I didn't read The Darkest Minds before I did the Mary Kiss Cliff book tag, which actually should be linked right around here in this little area, because he would have been in there, and Liam is now one of my favorite male book characters of all time. He's just so sweet, and I love the name Liam, and oh, he's so great. He's so like personable and real, and he's just I love all the characters, from Liam to Chubbs, who is just such a great character as well, to Zoo. Love all of them. And then we get to, you know, this new book that introduces us to new characters such as Vida and Jude, and there's people that you hate, like Clancy. Hate him. You know that moment in Mean Girls when Gretchen is just really furious with Regina and she's just saying that we should stab Caesar? That's how I feel about Clancy. We should just stab Clancy and get this done and over with, because he sucks so hardcore, so bad. And then it's like, on top of all the hate that you have for these certain people, you have just such a deep bond in love with all the other characters that it's just great. Besides the whole like putting people into camps and everything, the powers seem really cool, and I really wouldn't mind having one of these powers if our government didn't turn out the way it does in The Darkest Minds, because that would then be a bummer on the whole having powers type thing, right? Right. So in this book we are introduced to Vida and we are introduced to Jude, who are just such great characters and so different from the ones that we've met in the past. The best way for me to describe Jude's character is like a puppy dog. You get annoyed with them for just a little bit, and then you look at them and they're just such adorable, and you just can't help but fall in love with them all over again, and they rely on you, depend on you, and he's just, I love Jude. And then there's Vida, who at first is just a raging bitch, and then you get to know her. She doesn't stop being mean, but I don't even want to say it becomes more understandable, because you don't really learn too much about her, but it's one of those things to where you can kind of understand her character a little bit more, and it's just something that, like, you sometimes have friends and you just accept something about them, and that's just the way I grew to love Vida. Is I just accepted her for who she was, and she's just another one of those great, very strong characters. So go pick up this book. I highly recommend it. I'm recommending it to anyone who enjoys dystopian type books. Very good. Never Fade definitely completes the package of the two that are out now, and I cannot wait for the third book. So go pick it up. You will not be disappointed, or at least I hope you won't be disappointed. And this ends the non-spoilery section before I go into more detail and just all the feels that I felt, because there are a lot of feels in this book. So I will see you later. Come back when you have finished reading Never Fade, and then we can discuss this. I would love it for people to comment on my channels, because I just want to talk about it, and people don't understand how much you guys are the only people that I can talk to about this because everyone else just thinks I'm a nerd, and maybe I am, but I don't care. So please read this and please comment because I just want to talk about books, which is why I created this channel. So don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Goodreads, follow me on Twitter, comment below, and this ends the non-spoilery section. So bye! So, feels. This book, so many feels. So many feels. Okay, first, so how The Darkest Minds kind of leaves off of Liam and Ruby going their separate ways. And you're just like, no, why? So this whole book, I'm just so anticipating. You know they're going to have to see each other. You know it. So I'm anticipating when I see Liam. So I'm waiting for it and waiting for it. And then they meet, but he doesn't remember who she is. But so then when Liam remembers basically what Ruby did and she explains what she did, I love it because it's not just like, oh, well, I understand you were just trying to protect all of us. Liam is genuinely upset. And that's what I liked about this is he doesn't necessarily forgive her. It's never really discussed that he forgives her, but you know he still likes her because he just basically says that like you don't see a problem risking yourself for me and I'm not okay with that. And that's kind of how I feel if I was in the same position as Liam. So I really liked that dynamic of it's not like, oh, well, I love you, so I forgive you. It's more of, I'm super pissed. I love you, but it's going to take me a while to get over this. And that's more realistic, I think. And that's what I liked about the whole Liam Ruby dynamic is that they're still there for each other, but not everything has been smoothed over. There was that moment with Chubbs and Ruby where they separated after the fight, and then Ruby's just like, I can't do this. Like, I can't leave him alone anymore. Like, I gotta go back and get him. And then he's there, and I actually bookmarked this, so let me find it. Okay, so she goes back to find Chubbs, and she says, I'm sorry, I melt through the glass. He had been crying. Something inside me twisted, sharp and firm as Chubbs opened the door. You scared the hell out of me, he shouted. Do you know how easy it is to fall and break an ankle when you're walking without directions or into a river? Do you know what happens when you get hypothermia? I just love Chubbs so much because that would be his true reaction. He would start worrying and try to pretend that he didn't, like, it wasn't upsetting to him. He'd be more worried about other people. And that's one of the things that I love. But continuing on. He began. I felt his hands bunch up in the back of Liam's jacket with an effort to keep me there. I'm not the same person. I'm not, and I know that. And I'm not okay with who I am or what I do, but I'm also not okay with us separating again. Don't do that. Don't disappear. I know if you're mad at me, hit me or something. Just don't think that I don't want you to stay. I'll always want you to stay. And that to me was just such a great moment between Chubbs and Ruby because it shows their friendship. They've been through so much together in the last book that even though Chubbs had a problem accepting her into his group after the darkest or during the Darkest Minds, it was one of those things to where it showed how they had progressed and they had learned to love each other and trust each other and just really be there. Like that's what friendship is. And I loved that. One part that made me laugh out loud was after Ruby goes back to get Chubbs, and then the both of them go to try to catch up back with Vita and Jude. They realize that they're missing, and they run into a group of blues who tell them that they took them to the Slip Kid. And I just loved that simple line right after that said, of course. Who doesn't think of that, like, every once in a while? And I feel like I don't see those type of thoughts into books of just the simple of course, because that's just the way life turns out sometimes. You just get a bunch of crappy moments thrown together. So that literally made me LOL. So I loved the fact of after all of these like heart-wrenching, wonderful moments, there's the parts and the times where you can just chuckle out loud because you get it. Okay, you just get it. The last little section that I want to talk about my feels with is the very ending. I was bawling tears when Jude dies and Liam and Chubbs go back and they just bring her back the compass. And I feel myself starting to get emotional right now because it was just, you'd grown to love Jude and his innocence and everything that kind of he represented during this dark time, that when he died, it was just almost like there goes all hope type thing. And that was at least my thinking of, if he can die, because we hadn't really seen a close character of theirs pass away yet. And Jude was just such a big part of the whole book that when the building ended up collapsing on him, several emotions, okay? Tears, loss of hope, and then just WTF, man, let's go freaking kill this President Gray because he just sucks in this book. He just sucks. That whole family just sucks. And it was one of those things to where you just sit there and you close the book afterwards, after she has the papers that Clancy thought that he got rid of. And you're just so geared up for this last book. And you know that this book is ending soon and you don't want it to. And then she holds it up and she's like, and you mean these? And it's just one of those things where you gotta clap for Ruby because she is such a relatable badass. I love her. How could I forget? I totally forgot about Cole, that he is a red. Like, because adults aren't supposed to have powers. Like, how does Cole have these powers? And he's a red. And how did he learn to control them? And there's so many questions. And this just opens up just such a great storyline for the last book. And I cannot wait for it. Like, it needs to come out now. Okay, thanks. That would be great. So that's all my feels for right now. All the kind of important pivotal parts that I really want to talk about that I highly enjoyed. So please comment below. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this to vent out my feels and my thoughts of these books. So comment. I would love to talk to you about it. Follow me on Twitter and Goodreads. I know I already said that earlier, but I might as well reiterate. And I am looking forward to reviewing the next set of books that I want to read that I haven't decided yet. Trying to get as much done before November as possible so that way I can concentrate on school and NaNoWriMo. So I will talk to y'all later. And yeah, bye! They're just such darn cute people. Puppies. What am I talking about? Puppies, Jude.